Maybe I'm not holding my tongue right. That's all right. I was using my coach's voice.
Yes, he was. I'm going to have to use my teacher voice, I guess, as well. So, first of all, I'd like to welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I have some comments I'd like to read from, but for the first time since I've been here in 2009, I started in the district. I actually have an affiliation one way or another with all of the inductees. Dr. Detweiler, I know from day one. I think you came to see me right away to tell me how things were going to work. and that was from an athletic standpoint. I mean, Doc Detweiler is being recognized tonight for some really outstanding things that he's done in this community. Specifically with athletics here in Columbiana. And all of you know that Dr. Detweiler was here working with the Bark Board since the Firestones turned it over to the city back in 1934, right? I'm just kidding. Dr. Detweiler was also on the Board of Education here. He serves on the Park Board and is absolutely dedicated to Columbiana athletics from day one. Responsible for lots and lots of things. Reash, I can remember watching film when I was coaching against the Clippers and watching this guy celebrating after every play. And I was like, who is this guy? He celebrates after every play. Someone's got to knock him down. He was pretty good though, and we had to find ways to get around him. But Reese, certainly I have some fond memories from the opposite end. Also from the opposite end are the Goyce. So being in Lisbon for quite a few years, competing against the Goyce, I didn't know the inside track. But Kevin Goyce, long ago, after he finished playing, decided he was going to marry someone who was super athletic and smart, and then breed a whole bunch of athletes to terrorize the rest of the communities in Columbiana. So, I have a little bit of a connection to everybody here for maybe the first time since I've been superintendent. I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee. It's an awful lot of work to put something like this on, and it's painstaking the time that they put in, trying to decide, cover the things that they want to do, and then decide who gets in, who doesn't. Very, very difficult decisions to make, and I know that they take this super seriously. So if you've been inducted and you are now getting inducted, it is a big deal because believe me, not everybody gets in. So congratulations from that standpoint. I'd also like to thank our athletic director, Aaron Heasley, assistant athletic director, Larry Boffman, high school principal, Dave Buzzard, and also Tina Minnemeyer, who's doing our meal for the first time. She works for Nutrition Inc. right here in our cafeteria. Does a fantastic job. So I'll read a little bit of what I just kind of write just to kind of stay on cue and keep things moving. But I think it's important to understand that tonight's Hall of Famers represent a long-standing pride and tradition in Clipper athletics. You've been selected to represent yourself, your family, your teammates, players from Columbiana School District. You've been selected because you've had some extraordinary individual talents. But rarely do we know these honors get bestowed upon you because of you and you alone generally. There's always a parent, a grandparent, a teammate, a classmate, a teacher or a coach that helped you along the way. Tonight we get a chance to recognize not only the inductees' talents, but we get an opportunity to reflect upon those people who've helped our Clipper athletes along the way. Our athletic programs continue to be resilient, partially because of the established tradition, the characteristics of tonight's honorees, athletes, coaches. They've either brought these things to the table or you've learned them along the way, and that's leadership, discipline, teamwork, focus, drive, commitment, determination, accountability, adversity, character, pride, strength, integrity, competitiveness. And that's just on a family reunion at the Goist household. There's a lot of hard work in these qualities, and each of you being recognized tonight exemplify those. From what we do, from looking outside to what we do competing on the fields and playing surfaces. For me, it's truly an honor to be here tonight to listen to our representatives, our presenters, as they recognize the amazing accomplishments of these Clipper athletic athletes. Your impact on Columbiana schools has brought you here to be recognized. You've demonstrated high quality characteristics that have made a lasting opinion on your alma mater. And the Columbiana School District thanks you. We appreciate what you've done. We appreciate the sacrifices that you made along the way, and we appreciate you taking the time to be with us here tonight. We want to thank your families for the commitment to Columbiana schools, Columbiana athletics, and we're proud to have each of you and call you Columbiana Hall of Famers. I'm looking forward to hearing from the presenters and from the inductees themselves, and I want to hope and wish everybody has a great evening. Thank you.
We all need great assistance, don't we? Thank you, Don. Appreciate those kind words. And as I was mentioning the inductees and the donations that we received, I neglected to call your attention to the little leaflet in your program. There is a list of those the donations that the inductees have sent in for us. So please take note of that. Also, I failed to mention that I am not the regular MC. You might have noticed that. It's usually Dr. Ron Detweiler up here setting the mood for the evening's affair. Now, I want you to know that he pulled me aside last night at the football game and gave me specific instruction on how I was supposed to do this tonight. Well, it's not. And he promised not to grade me, as my past is, I was the speech teacher here at Maumee High School, for those of you that don't know. And actually, I see some of my students in the back there, former students. So please keep the evaluation forms away, okay? But this is only the third time. The last time I had to fill in, Ron went skiing. So we won't talk about that. But I'm happy to be here, and we want to move along with our program. And it just so happens that the first inductee tonight is Dr. Ron Detweiler, and he is going to be presented by Dan Becker. Mr. Becker, you may have the platform.
Thank you, Mr. Capper. Good evening, everyone. You know, it's just the thoughts that come to you when you are at a place like this. A lot of firsts. No students. The comments that are being made are great. I mean, to see you folks come back to enjoy this is outstanding. And to all you inductees, congratulations. It's well worth it. We are here this evening to honor some of Columbiana School's finest, one of them being Ron Detweiler. He was affectionately known as Scrawn while he was in high school. Now, I want to tell you, if you want to know what that is, I tried to fax check it and I couldn't find it anywhere. So you'll have to ask him. While here in school, Ron participated in football and basketball. He was a class officer and a student council president his senior year. After high school, Ron went to Kent State University, Youngstown State, before attending Illinois College of Optometry in Chicago, and today has 3 successful practices. Ron has always had a love for sports, and I first met him around 2000 while he was associated with the Athletic Facilities Committee. And to that fact, we have a great press box due to a lot of people around here, and you're part of that, so I congratulate you. As time went by, I watched Ron take on a new part, the new voice of the Columbiana Clippers for football and basketball, as well as doing many other deeds. He's emceed all over town, the park, here, and it's wonderful. Ron does a tireless job with all pursuance of sports for the school system and any other time that he is called upon. I have had the pleasure of working with Ron on the park board, where he has chaired or been part of for over 2 decades. 2 decades, folks. That's a long time to sit in those chairs. He is a doer. He works tirelessly at whatever comes his way. A lot of times you may see Ron on the front side, but it's the backside that makes him a candidate for tonight's induction to the Columbiana Hall of Fame. Ron has resided all his life in Columbiana, is married to his wife, Mary Lou, of 42 years. Together they have 3 children, all of which graduated from Columbiana, and also 3 grandchildren. It is my pleasure to present to you Ron Detweiler for his Hall of Fame induction.
Thank you, Dan. Since Dr. Mook and Dan and Larry have stolen about half of my remarks tonight, I could maybe fall into the 5-minute rule.
What's that?
Yeah, I'm going to explain that. I'm going to lighten this up a little bit too. Tonight's really going to be a transition for me. As Larry mentioned, it's been my pleasure for the past almost 25 years to serve as Master of Ceremonies of this banquet, and it's truly an honor to be here. For me, tonight's going to be just a night of thank yous. I thank the people that have we worked with through the years and tell a couple stories. My wife has told me 500 times tonight about the 5-minute rule, so no way. First thank you has to go to Larry Caffro. As he mentioned to you, Larry was on the original Hall of Fame committee clear back in 1997. Larry came from Toledo area tonight just to MC this banquet, and we appreciate that, Larry. And the foresight the year committee had to come up with a Hall of Fame is truly remarkable. The 5-minute rule, let me explain that to everybody. When you're involved with the Hall of Fame committee, there's a 5-minute rule, and it doesn't matter whether you're a presenter, a nominee, or if you're Bob Spade giving the prayer before dinner. You can't speak more than 5 minutes. Now, how do you think that's worked in this group? I think back to the old days. Okay, it's Rich Berryman, it's time to listen up. I think back to the old days of the Hall of Fame and the John Cabas days, the Rich Berryman days. Those guys didn't even bring a watch. They couldn't tell time. It was more like the half-an-hour rule, and they loved it. So we're going to try to adhere to that tonight. Let me begin by actually complimenting and congratulating the other Hall of Fame inductees. This is really a deja vu for me, because of all the nominees tonight, every one of them was in school when I followed their careers, and they all had the opportunity to play sports with our children. And also, every one of their fathers went to school the same time I did. So we were all in Columbiana around the same time. which is really heartening. I mean, sitting looking at the Reash boys here, there's a lot of stories I could tell that I'm not going to tonight. But let me say, congratulations to all of you. I mean, this is an athletic Hall of Fame, and you're all very well deserving, and it's a pleasure for me to be included in this group. Fathers, Kevin, many things we accomplished over the last 20, 25 years, and Don Mook made it sound like it was so much work and that we were just slaved away. I got to tell you, when you work with the likes of Kevin Goyce Sr. and Lee Lightly and some of the boys, we had a good time along the way. Yes, we accomplished quite a bit, but we really, really enjoyed that time and that camaraderie. I'm proud to say that I'm the third member of our class, the class of 1966, to go into the Hall of Fame. And something that's pretty special to me, the other members that are going into that went into the Hall of Fame, we're all still good friends. We talk on a regular basis. We have a 5-way chat email that we adhere to every Ohio State football game. We're texting back and forth, and these are friends from 1966, and that's pretty special. One of our conversations last week during the Ohio State game, which was not a pleasant conversation, by the way, but one of the members of our class, one that's an inductee here, and you guys can probably guess who it was if you're from back in those days, but they were talking about the members going into the Hall of Fame, and congratulations, and one of the guys goes, yeah, Dick Keller was one heck of a football player and played at Delaware. He's in the Hall of Fame. And Jim Murphy, outstanding basketball player, went to Bowling Green, and he's in the Hall of Fame. And he goes, Ron, now we have somebody going into the Hall of Fame for their mouth. Good thing we're friends. I've been given instructions tonight, and I'm probably already over my limit, but thank you, Connie Ward, for keeping me on track with the information here. First instruction that we had was to tell humorous stories about our high school athletic days. Now, we're done with that subject. I did have the opportunity to play football for 4 years at Columbiana. But you know what? As I look at the Reese boys here, it's real hard to be a stud linebacker in high school when you're 5'9" and weigh 140 pounds. So the career was wonderful, and I really have a love for the game, and that's probably what's driven a lot of what we've done through the last several years. I could tell you stories about our football coach. Rich would probably be the only one to remember good old Flex Belisari. He was the old-fashioned football coach where you couldn't take your helmet off at halftime. You're afraid what was going to be thrown at you. So we'll miss those stories. What I would like to do is say some thank yous, and I'm going to start it off with a little story. Woody Hayes had a saying, and that saying was that you win with people. First year of college, I had to write a paper, a biography in English class on a famous person, a humanitarian, a person that you look up to in this country, and write a biography. Being the worldly person I am, I wrote that biography on Woody Hayes. Didn't get a real good grade because I didn't think he was really a humanitarian, But when I did the research, and the point of what I'm trying to say is, when I did the research, Woody had a saying, you win with people. And the whole gist of his biography was that although Woody was a little rough around the edges, he understood that people were individuals. There's good and bad that goes along with all, and that you need to surround yourself with the successful people so you in turn can be a success in your life. One very special person I want to recognize tonight, and that's Rich Berryman. We've had a long-standing banter, if you will, through the years, and that's been very special to me. But I'm going to tell Rich a couple things that he may not realize. Rich Berryman was my junior high science teacher in high school. And Rich Berryman also really presented me with my first crisis in high school. Sophomore year, back in our day, you had to try out for the athletic teams, and there were cuts involved. And Rich probably doesn't remember this, but he cut me from the basketball team my sophomore year. Where is Rich, by the way? He complained last banquet because he couldn't hear me, so I hope that's not a problem this time. My point is, what do I remember most about Rich Berryman? Do I remember the high school basketball player he was, the state finalist in his athletic career? No. Do I remember him as a teacher? No. Do I remember him as a basketball coach? No. But what I do remember about Rich is the type of individual he was and is. It goes back to what he hates, you win with people. And we're so fortunate in this community to have individuals like Rich, somebody that you can look up to and appreciate and help form your life. And I wanted to thank him for that. Some thank yous. Bob Spade. I couldn't clean anything up good enough to say. I can't thank Bob enough, because most of my involvement here in Columbiana started when Bob came and became the football coach here at Columbiana. 28 years ago, he asked me to be the public address announcer at a football game. Now, Bob, if I knew that was going to go 28 years, but that's what started it all, and to become one of Bob's posses, and we're still here, we're still staying. But again, the type of people like Rich Berryman, we need people to look up to thank for what we all do. I need to thank, like with the announcing jobs that I do, I'll be real honest with you. As far as preparation and the work that I do, no, I just listen well. Football game, I have 3 spotters, Clint Hardenbrook, Lee Likely, Bill Ludoff, and they're the ones that do all the work. All I do is listen and talk. And the same thing at basketball, with basketball games. I think of the years working there. If Nancy Turpak wasn't sitting there, I would flounder. And another individual that really needs to be mentioned and thanks is Heater. Most of you know Heater. Here's an individual that was faced with many years of medical disadvantages to his life, yet he did what he wanted to do, and he was happy doing it, and he was dedicated to this school system. People like Jeff Heaton needs to be thanked. It's been a long road. It's been a fun road. Again, I would be remiss if I didn't really thank the Board of Education and the school system here. Dawn, I mean, I've been through 4 superintendents to this point. Had the chance to serve on the school board in the past, and I'll be honest with you, I had no idea what it was like to be on a board of education or what it took to run a school system until I served on that board. And I will say this, that people in this community do not know how lucky they are to have the quality of school system that we have here at Columbiana. Again, park board, that's sort of like my baby. I mean, I've been on the park board here for, they were talking decades. But if you've ever been through our park, look what we have. And it's really a source of pride for me. The volunteers, and I use this comment a lot, as far as working with park board and school and the city. Columbiana is only one of 2 school systems in the state of Ohio that has an athletic facility in their public park. And we not only have our high school football stadium, we have the high school baseball and the high school girls softball. And really, we've been very successful through the years with volunteers and people working on the benefit of the city, the school, and the park. And it's really a sense of pride for me to see these 3 groups, the school, the park, the city, working so well together. And that's why we've been able to accomplish so much. One last quick comment. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize one individual. If you read my resume, you'll see on there that one of my little tidbits from the past 20 years is the job I have with CBS Sports, and which is parlayed into working for the Steelers and the Browns, and also with Fox now. People will always ask me, how do you get that job? I got that job because somebody got sick. And it was one of those things, John Butera. We all know John, but he's the one that parlayed that into a really a plum for me. I truly appreciate that. Finally, how am I doing on time, boss?
4.5 minutes.
Okay, good. That's not what my wife is saying.
She needs a new watch.
Yeah. It's been, I can't thank the Hall of Fame committee enough. I mean, this is truly an honor. I'm flattered. I've got to thank my family. They put up with me through all of this. Mary Lou points that out to me quite often. Now she's mad. But, the kids, Mary Lou, I really appreciate you putting up with me and letting me do what I like to do, and I can't thank you enough. Thanks to everybody.
Thank you, Dan, and again, congratulations, Ron. Certainly well deserved. And it really was just 4.5 minutes.
It was 13 minutes and 40
Was it?
seconds.
I'm going to have to get my watch checked. Well, moving along with the program, as we said, that's the job of the MC to keep it moving. Our next inductee is Caleb Goyce, and the presenter is Kevin Goyce, another one of my former speech students. Kevin, the floor is yours. No pressure.
Thanks. Yeah, no pressure at all. That was a long time ago, so we'll see if I remember any of those tenets from speech class. So this is fun. You get to speak, you follow the voice of the Clippers, and you're the barrier to dinner. So I probably should have talked to Coach Heasley and Coach Boffin about changing the sort of the arrangement of the program, but it's really cool to come back. It's fun. When I heard about who was getting inducted, I thought it was a really great group of families we've known for a long time, who are really pillars of the community. Detweiler family. Who loves Columbiana more than Ron Detweiler? And the Reash family, and obviously we miss your dad. I know you would be proud of wish he could be here, and obviously my own siblings, Coach and Mrs. Berryman. Everyone forgets to mention Mrs. Berryman. That's not cool. So we're always there for us, for all of us who hasn't been touched by the Berryman family. So the good news is I think I can be brief, but it is really cool to celebrate Stevie and Caleb's accomplishments. And Caleb's really racking up these Hall of Fame inductions, kind of mocking all of us. He just got inducted into the Teal College Athletic Hall of Fame, and so he's got one up on the rest of us in the family, I guess. And so we'll hear about Stevie and her Dead Sea Scrolls of accomplishments from high school pretty soon. And so, but it's really a fun thing as kind of the oldest sibling to kind of remember these times and be a bit nostalgic about the time together. And so Caleb and I obviously spent a lot of time together playing sports, and it was a lot of fun, a lot of fights. We have a younger brother. We're both very, very competitive at the time, and so I'm just going to take credit for molding him into what he became, and probably all those basketballs I threw at him in anger when he might quit because I was probably being a jerk. And so, but really, really great. And so I think there's always a little bit of arrogance as the oldest child, that maybe you're just always the best. You guys are gonna find out in the next 20 minutes that's total crap. And that that's definitely just not true. But and then obviously I think pretty early in our childhood that Caleb was always could bring me down a peg. He was always a better baseball player than me, and we'll talk a lot about Caleb's baseball accomplishments. But people really forget how good of a basketball player Caleb was, and those things. And so, but really, people remember Caleb as a baseball player, and he really made a difficult game look easy. Baseball's hard, and he always just sort of looked effortless playing shortstop or hitting a 3 or 4 spot, and people are like, oh, it must be easy, but I think people forget what they didn't see is the work that he put in, countless hours of work. Rest in peace, Dad's shoulder from all those BP sessions, and so, but summer league, I remember Caleb being in high school, and I remember him, working and then going to play baseball, and I think the other thing that people didn't see is Caleb was always the consummate teammate. And I think that's one of the things that's easily overlooked. I think you can look back and see that he was almost invariably the best player on the team that he played on. And so, but that was never something that he was going to put in your face. And so, always did what was best for the team. And you never heard about his accomplishments at the end of the game. I would see him telling other people good game. And those accomplishments were, really many. And until Aaron Heasley texted me that she needed Caleb's phone number, I wouldn't even know he got in the Hall of Fame, and so maybe we need to work on our communication. But but I think that's kind of it. He's like, okay, well, this is nice, but I'm not gonna brag about myself. But I think a couple of quick anecdotes, and I'll cede the floor. But I think it really illustrates these things. So Caleb, growing up, when I played baseball, I loved to pitch, and Caleb was like that. I don't have time for that. And so his senior year, though, the team needed pitchers, and so he pitched, and he went 7-0 or something. What the hell? And so he was also kind enough that year to not being an annoying younger brother when he had to sub in for me at the end of the season because I couldn't hit. But I'm really honored to be here to induct Caleb into the Hall of Fame, and I look forward to hearing what he has to say.
Kevin.
Thank you very much, Kevin. That was probably hard for an older brother to do. What he doesn't remember is I always let him win. And I was always going to let him win. Little brother couldn't let their big brother be unhappy there. But thank you very much. That was a wonderful introduction. Thank you everyone for being here tonight. It's really an honor to be here in my hometown. And I didn't graduate from this high school, but the school district and everything. Just to to see everybody I haven't seen in years. Jeff, we played together forever, hung out after games, after school. And Chris, you were a year behind me. Tim, you and Stevie were best friends. And Mr. Detweiler, I spent the night at your house several times. And I was like that aquarium in the And it's wonderful. My family's here. Me and my brothers and sisters, we don't always get together. Whitney and Ted, they came from New Jersey all the way in, and Kevin, he's from Columbus. He left a wife and 3 kids, so he might be enjoying that. And also a really special thanks to whoever let me come up here before Steve, because I get to look good for once here. And she was down at my house a couple weekends ago with her 2 little ones, and I'm going to call you out on this, Maurelius, in the corner here. And he said, I'm more excited about Uncle Caleb getting in the Hall of Fame because I think he had a better high school career than you. So I just kind of said, just wait. You'll be surprised. But Stevie was is so modest, they don't even hardly know she played. But listen up, you too, mate. But so that leads me in one of the best memories I had was my senior year during baseball season. Stevie was a freshman and already starting to rewrite the record books there on the softball field. And I believe she brought the article up here, but we got one of the local newspapers did an article on me graduating and kind of passing the torch on to Stevie, and it was just really neat to look back and read that again. And I've been going from high school for 21 years now, and it made it feel like you kind of never left. But always had more success in baseball. That was probably my best sport there. Our junior year, I think we had probably our best team. Kind of on a fluky play in the district finals, we got bumped off by Southington High School. I really do think that year, we might not have won a state championship, but I think we really had a chance to make some noise in the tournament there. But it wasn't meant to be, and that's okay. Senior year, we kind of had a little bit more of a down year. Just one of those years we couldn't really put it together, but as a team there. But it was still some of the most fun I ever had back then. After the season, I got to play in a couple of all-star games. One at it's Progressive Field now, but Jacobs Field, where the Indians play, and I don't know if Cafaro Field's still there in Niles, but got to play in a couple of all-star games with some of the local guys that I actually ended up getting to be friends with in the Youngstown leagues and the summer leagues there. Playing in Columbiana, it really did prepare me to move on to the next level, to play in college and some of these summer leagues, the Youngstown Class B and the Youngstown AA League after I got out of high school. It was a lot of fun there playing baseball. Basketball, we never quite had the same success as we did. We got beat up a little bit. But the most fun I ever had on sorry. I was playing for my dad. I didn't think I'd do this. But he was our junior varsity coach my freshman and sophomore year. And I definitely learned more about basketball from him than anyone else I ever played for. And I have season tickets now to the West Virginia Mountaineers, and I probably complained about the same things he complained about me doing when he threw it down. But yeah, we the team, we never had the same success as we did on the baseball field. I did get to play in a couple of All-Star games, the Columbiana County All-Star game, the TCL, and versus the ICO All-Star game. Probably the highlight of our senior season was in the sectional tournament. We played Louisville St. Thomas Aquinas, and we were underdogs probably by about 30 points, and we did manage to beat them that night. 4 of their starters were suspended, but hey, we say win's a win, right? So, that was probably the best game we played all season there. I played some really good competition after college, and playing in college and playing in the summer leagues, and played against guys that went on to play various levels of professional baseball. And I was as Kevin said, I was inducted into my college's Hall of Fame as a baseball player just a couple of years ago. But it's just really nice to be inducted into your high school Hall of Fame in your hometown and everything. It's just really, truly an honor. And I thank you Aaron for the nomination there. And it's double honor to see my sister. So I don't usually get like this, but and then I want to thank my Aunt Mary and my Aunt Teresa are over here at this table. You better have brought pepperoni rolls and chocolate chip cookies. I'll be looking for you in the parking lot. They used to come to my college games and bring them to us, and my teammates would always raid them from me. I heard they got so. But thank you very much, everybody, for coming, and congratulations again to all the other inductees and all the inductees in the room.
Again, thank you, Kevin. You did great. And congratulations, Caleb. Well deserved. Okay, now that we've heard from 2 of our inductees, it is time for dinner. I know you've all been waiting for that, right? So if Connie would come forward for the invocation, and I believe that we will dismiss you by table. So please wait until you are asked to attend the buffet. Connie, it's your podium. Thank you.
Need a soapbox.
I'm just wasting time because I want them to bring the food out.
Good on talking about.
No, they'll be bringing it out shortly. I actually guessed pretty well tonight. I said that we would probably start very close to 7, between 7 and 7:15. And that was one of my best ones, because other times I've been at least a half hour wrong, because that 5-minute rule was thrown out the window. If you could please bow your heads. Our Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to come together as a Clipper family. We are grateful to the blessings you have bestowed upon us. We ask your graces in blessing this food and the hands that have prepared it. In your name we pray. Amen. Just a couple of comments about the dinner tonight. It will be it's going to be self-serve on the drinks. We don't have band members here tonight to help with the serving of the drinks because of COVID. And so the water, coffee, punch will be over here at this table. So please don't hesitate once we get it out there, to get up and get your drinks. Again, we do have 2 buffet tables, and we'll have people go up 1 or 2 tables at a time then, okay? Thanks so much.
Okay, folks, ready to go on our second half here, but before we get into the program, I'd like to call out our kitchen staff of Tina and Cindy. Can we get you guys to come on out? Okay, I don't know what you think, but I thought that was an amazing meal, and I wished I had gone through both lines. So, the food was excellent. If I was young enough, I'd re-enroll here at the high school just to have that cafeteria food. So thank you, Tina. Thank you, Cindy. So we want to move on to our second half of the program, and the next inductee is Stevie Goyce Green, and she will be presented by Whitney Goist. Whitney, you are up.
Hi, everyone. I just want to start off by saying congratulations to all the inductees tonight, except for Caleb. Haley told me that joke was funny, so that's why I did it. But really, this is a really great group, so congratulations to you all. It's really well deserved for all of you. But my name is Whitney. I'm the sister and former teammate of Stevie, and it's my pleasure to recognize her tonight. She's like one of my favorite people ever. So it's an honor to do this. So Stevie had an exceptional high school athletic career. She was a three-sport athlete participating in volleyball, softball, and basketball. She earned 10 varsity letters during her career, and she would have earned 12 if she had continued playing volleyball after her sophomore year. Stevie played the point guard position in basketball and was a pitcher and shortstop for the softball team. If you read through her biography in the program, you'll see the numerous records and accomplishments Stevie had. I wish I had a slideshow up here, I could just click through all of them. But a couple of the successes I just wanted to point out, she was, some of her major accomplishments were that she was an All-Ohio selection her senior year in basketball, as well as an All-Ohio selection both her junior and senior year in softball. Also in her senior year of basketball, she was named the District 1 Coaches Association Player of the Year. I think she was the first athlete from Columbiana to receive that honor, and because of that honor, she got to play in the North-South All-Star game, which was a really great accomplishment. So one would think being the younger sibling of someone with these accomplishments would be difficult, but it wasn't. I was and still am very proud to be her sister and love to see her succeed, just as she is always supportive and happy for all of my successes. It didn't even bother me at one of my first basketball games after Stevie graduated. I was heckled by a student from another school who yelled, "Stevie's better." Stevie was the type of player any coach would want. I think Coach Spade probably would have even started her on the football team if she wanted to play. She was a leader on and off the court and the field. She was receptive to feedback, a quick learner. She always treated her coaches with respect. When I was a freshman, Stevie was no longer playing volleyball. The team that the year before that Stevie had played on, they had done well. I think they made it to district finals that year in tournament, and Stevie was part of that team. There was a lot of seniors who had graduated. So the next year when I was in high school, the volleyball coach at the time, he was trying to get everyone really excited for the game, and he was saying some individual players that had graduated and saying, you're better than this player, you're better than this player, and someone mentioned Stevie's name, and he goes, well, not Stevie, he said. He's like, Stevie was special. And Stevie was and is very special. Not just to her coaches, but also to her teammates. She was always a leader, whether on the basketball court or the softball field. And she took on that leadership position as soon as she started her high school athletic career. She was a varsity athlete as a freshman in all three sports, which is a lot to take on as a freshman. And she took it on with, you wouldn't even, with no hesitation at all. I can personally say as one of her teammates, we always looked to her to lead us. Stevie was a competitor who was confident without being full of herself, and she made all the players around her better. Stevie continued her athletic career in college, and after college, her passion for sports continued, and Stevie stayed active in athletics through coaching. Being able to teach and coach is truly a special gift. I really admire people who can do that. I do not have that gift at all, but Stevie 100% does. After college, she served as a graduate assistant for Fairmont State University's women's basketball team. And then when she started her teaching career, she continued coaching at various levels. And she's also coached several of her two kids, Maisie and Marias, who are here tonight. Their youth teams, and they're both great athletes and take after Stevie. And their dad is also a great athlete as well, Brett. They have good genes. And currently Stevie serves as the varsity assistant for the women's basketball team at Berryman High School, along with her husband Brett, who's the head coach. I just want to say again, congratulations to you, Stevie, and all the other inductees, including you, Caleb. And Stevie, you have had an impressive athletic career. It's always really nice to see people who deserve to be recognized for their accomplishment get that recognition. So this Hall of Fame induction is well deserved.
Thank you very much, Whitney. I am a high school English teacher, so I'm used to people not paying attention to me when I talk, so feel free to look at your phones, check out, like, totally normal. Thank you to everyone who's in attendance. Congratulations to the other inductees. I know it's been said, but this is a really nice group. Of course, you know, having my brother here, and who cares about a great college career when you can have a great high school career? But it's great to have him. I said, poor Dr. Detweiler has sat through hours, wasted hours of his life in the Goist pole barn, so it's well deserved on your end as well. Well, we know what you guys do down there. And then of course, you know, Mr. Reash, I'm certain was my first coach that I ever had. I started soccer when I was 4 years old. Tim, if you remember, we were the Rowdies. It's like the sweetest soccer name ever. So Mr. Reese was my first coach for soccer. I first coach for baseball. He was just always a staple. And so it was great, you know, getting to go to school and play with his sons who are awesome as well. So, so I'm really happy to be, it was really nice to be part of a group where I really have a personal connection to all of you. So congratulations. When I got my induction letter, I headed to the basement and went through my bin of high school accolades, which it's been a long time since I looked through those. And it was kind of bittersweet, but it was kind of refreshing to just kind of put a pause on everything and go back in time. I found so many clippings and pictures, and I actually found some clippings that had my husband's name in them, but I know that he read a lot more about me than I ever read about him. But it was nice because so much of that really was forgotten. And I looked through, like I said, pictures and awards, and it just kind of took me back to my teammates, my coaches, and the community. I had scrapbooks that I literally had nothing to do with it. You know, I know Coach Wilkinson, Coach Heasley put together beautiful scrapbooks for us when we were seniors. I had hand-drawn illustrations. I had fall, winter, and sports programs. And I think, you know, when you're young, you just think people do those kinds of things. You don't think about the time and the money and the effort that goes into it. And so now as an adult, I'm extremely appreciative that I do have those things, you know, to look back on and to share with my family. So thank you to all of you who were a part of that. Just a few people that I do feel like I'd like to mention. One of the individuals that's worth mentioning was Mr. Bill Stanfield. He's not here tonight, but anyone who followed my softball career knows that he was the one who taught me how to pitch. My first ever pitching experience, I played baseball until I was 12, and then I moved into fast pitch softball. So I was like, I can pitch, like, whatever, no big deal. First outing, I'm rolling the ball, I'm hitting players, I'm throwing it, and all over the place. And then I started crying, which I'm still mad about because I don't know that I ever cried on a field or court other than that day. But he came to my rescue. I didn't know Mr. Stanfield. Caleb and Derek had played together, and he offered to help me pitch. And the day after summer day, we meet at the softball field at 8 in the morning, and he worked with me. And like I said, anyone who has ever, if you've ever pitched or you have a child, it's a very involved process. And I threw that ball all over the place, and Mr. Stanfield never showed frustration, at least not, to my face. I never paid him a dime. He did it on his own, just out of his own generosity. He came to games. He stood in the shadows. He never said anything never took any credit or anything like that. And so, again, I think I knew it at the time, but I certainly recognized as an adult that this man took time away from his job and his family just to work with me, and I am incredibly appreciative of that. To kind of stick with softball, once I got into high school, I was still surrounded with some familiar faces. I had the pleasure of having Coach Heasley coach our 344 Summer League team. And Kevin even helped coach. I think we went undefeated for 3 years. We had a pretty solid team. Whitney was on the team with me as well. And then of course, Coach Wilkinson. And they had really established a successful teams. And it was nice to walk into that because we didn't have as much success in basketball early on, and I'll get to that. But freshman year, I got to play infield. I got to pitch a little bit. We had a really great senior pitcher, so I didn't throw a lot of innings, but I did some pitching that year. But just the fact that they trusted me to be their leadoff batter, be a middle infielder, it just instilled confidence in me. And so as the years progressed, that confidence, built. And I think, something about Coach Heasley and Coach Wilkinson was that we always knew what the expectation was. We came in, we got the job done. They were consistent. Practices were well structured, and again, I really appreciate that very much now as a teacher and coach myself. I remember Coach Wilkinson coming out to talk on the mound. Kara, you were often a part of those conversations. I had the pleasure of having Kara as my catcher for 2 of the 4 years that I played. And I can still hear Coach Heasley, "Let's go Niner," from the third baseline. So those were great times. And like I said, everybody knows they've devoted literally countless hours to so many student athletes, and I'm really proud to say that I was a part of that. So thank you. With basketball, like I said, we struggled there for a while. Coach Mrs. Ward and I had a conversation about that earlier today. But I do want to mention that Coach Benshaw, when he came in and took the program over when I was a junior, he really changed the dynamic. He started us with jump stretch. We went to summer shootouts. We watched film. We did things that we had never done before. And I can honestly say that every practice was hard. And again, I appreciated that. Along with Coach Shaw coming in, there was Whitney coming up as a freshman. And she said I was the point guard, but ultimately we shared point guard duties for 2 years. And what she maybe doesn't realize is how much that allowed me to elevate my game and become a better player. Because with Whitney, I reaped the benefits of your ball handling, your rebounding, and with those long arms. She's tipping the ball when I'm getting the steals. So, I was smart enough to stay close to her on defense. But truly, Whitney was an asset to the basketball team. And then softball too. I'm on the mound and she's in the infield. I was trying to think about it. I was like, I think he played almost everywhere in the infield. And I think he even caught, if I'm not, a little bit, yeah, maybe in summer league. But she was cleaned up a lot of messes for me. And so, having her allowed me to become a better player. And so, Whitney, thank you. You were a great teammate, best teammate I had. So I thank you for that. Volleyball, as what you mentioned, it just wasn't a sport I was as passionate about, but I still appreciate the time and the skill required to be successful in that sport. My oldest brother, Kevin, I was really fortunate. He used to work out with me a lot with basketball, probably more than anybody ever did individually. He taught me how to lift. I was like, what is lifting? I'm going to college and I got to lift weights. He really introduced me to that, and you were around senior year and got to be a part of a lot of my successes, which was great. Caleb got stuck catching for me a lot, sitting on the bucket, and the learning boy, as he liked to refer to one of my pitches. Still remember that. And Logan and Haley, who were significantly younger than me. I know that you were there, I said, in the stands or maybe the concession stand, but you were there in some capacity. But as you've heard from our family today, that familial support continues. I have in-laws here, I have my children, I have my husband, my aunts, and the point being that, yes, I was fortunate and had a successful career, but it had nothing to, it was all because of all the support that I had. And I know if Pat were here, he would say, beautiful, beautiful. He would love all of this. I also want to just mention my parents, who are strangers to none in the town of Columbiana. Managing to chase 6 kids around who just continue to play every sport, God forbid we not play something. Never missed a game, though I know Mom was late sometimes because of working night turn. But I think when I think of my parents, I just think that, like, I look back and I just think they just did it. They just did what was necessary. We always had what we needed. And from them, we all learned how to work hard and how to commit and just get the job done. And I appreciate that very much. We were taught to be respectful of coaches, but they also told us to remain humble. And so I thank you for that. Lastly, Columbiana really is a great community. The athletic programs and people that have surrounded me have provided me with lessons that, as you hear, truly impact me today as a parent, as a coach, as a teacher. I believe so much in athletics and what it can do for you as a person, and so Columbiana is really the basis of that for me. So thank you again to the committee, thank you to everyone in attendance, and congratulations to all the inductees.
Well, Stevie, if I remember the infamous words of Tom Hanks, there's no crying in baseball. So, folks, I have to say this, before you leave tonight, you need to see the picture on Stevie's plaque. It is the most awesome action shot that I have ever seen. It's amazing. Make sure you get a look at it before you leave. It'd be a real treat. And also, Stevie, I understand about audiences not wanting to listen. I too am an English teacher, so I know exactly what you were saying. And congratulations, Stevie and Whitney. Nice job on the intro there. Thank you. Moving on, at this time I want to take a break from the inductees and recognize the Hall of Fame committee. If I can direct your attention to your program, the second last page of your program is a list of the Hall of Fame trustees. Current President Larry Baughton, which we'll hear from later. But I'd like those folks on the committee, if you're in attendance, please stand. I appreciate that. And remain standing, please. There are two current members of this committee that were on the original committee that got together to put together the idea of the Hall of Fame and have stayed with the task for 25 years, and that's Connie Ward and Larry Baughman. Thank you for your service. And Rich Berryman comes in second with 24 years. He just stepped back to allow our newest member, Corey Less, to join the committee. And thank you, folks, for all your efforts. What a wonderful event this has become. Very fortunate to have those folks working on this event. And our last inductee tonight is Chris Reash, and his presenter is his brother Tim. Gentlemen, you are on deck.
Good evening, everybody. To go into tonight, I had a hard time thinking of what I was going to say, because probably 98% of my relationship with my brother is us going back and forth, calling each other idiots, and just poking fun at each other and just dogging each other. But tonight I'm going to try something different, because Chris deserves something different, for his to be spotlighted for his accomplishments and legacy here at Columbiana High School. Chris excelled on the football field, earning 3 varsity letters, was named twice to the All-TCL team and All-County team, and was a first-team Northeast Ohio Inland District football player. Chris also was successful as a thrower for the track and field program here at Columbiana High School. Chris was a 4-year varsity letter winner and a 2-time regional qualifier, and got on the podium at the state track meet. Chris also, on top of the athletics, excelled in the classroom, carrying a 3.7 GPA, all while doing the workload of the athletics. But most importantly, Chris excelled as being a Columbiana Clipper. You could always find Chris leading the student section at basketball games, being a leader for his teammates on and off the field, and in his later life helping Coach Spate and his staff mold young men into great leaders both on the field and in society. But that's all sincere stuff I have to say. I have 4 things here that when I really researched Chris's playing career, both his football and track, I came up with 4 stories or little things that I remember that happened. And the first one was going to be, Coach Spate, you can vouch for this. Chris, to my knowledge, is the only player to ever play at Columbiana High School in football and be ejected out of a game for charging the offensive huddle of the opposing team and trying to fight all 11 players. And that was due to dirty blocks, supposedly. Chris, in all his glory, was also, in my eyes, one of the fastest 5'4" linemen that I've ever seen in my life. And he did that feat while intercepting a pass in Latonia. He was able to run that back for a touchdown, but it's like watching SpongeBob run down the sideline. Like 5'4" square, and he scored a touchdown. And the third story goes to the track. Everybody wants to give Chris credit for placing at the state track meet, but in my eyes, the real person behind his place, it wasn't his hard work and his dedication. That was the obvious thing. But if anybody knows, most of you do, there was a superintendent here by the name of Dr. Joe Rottenborn. And if you know Dr. Rottenborn, he had a Where's Waldo kind of look to him. Great guy, super guy, great leader of our school. But Chris faltered on his first 2 throws of the state meet. And if you know my brother, he gets a little mental sometimes. And he was in his head quite a bit when he was throwing the shot put. And he gets up to the ring on his 3rd and final throw. And we're at the state meet. We're down at Columbus. There's probably 200-300 people watching the shot put and the discus going on at the same time. And you can just hear a pin drop. And all of a sudden, Dr. Rottenborn stands up and he starts the clipper clap in front of everybody. And when Chris stepped in that ring, he had a little chuckle, so it kind of cleared his head of being in his own head. And I think Dr. Rottenborn got you on that podium. And the last story I remember, and Chris has taught me a lot of life lessons outside of sports and currently being a dad. But the one lesson he taught me, and Coach Spade, you can probably vouch for this, in 2000, Springfield Local came to play us, and in my opinion, it's probably one of the best high school football teams I've ever seen in person or on TV or anything. There was just some dudes on that team. And I played beside Chris for a couple years. And just so happened the person that lined up against us was Isaac Smolko. And if anybody knows Isaac Smolko, he went on to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers for about 4 years. Played at Penn State, and he was just a dude. And Isaac Smolko would just whoop my ass play after play. And being a cocky 16-year-old, I'd get up and I'd go right back out and talking all trash. And Chris just looked at me and said, if you shut your mouth for 1 second, we can quit getting our ass beat, we can get this game over with. So that was the moment I learned to not always run my mouth and just kind of do your job. But with all those stories and everything that happened with what I just said, Chris deserves this for creating a lasting legacy both in the track program and the football program. So it's my honor to introduce you to my brother, Chris Reash. bet you guys didn't know I was flying Jerry Seinfeld in here tonight. You would think as an educator and seeing kids on a daily basis that I'd be a great public speaker, and I am not. So this will be short and sweet. First of all, thank you to the Hall of Fame committee. I was at these a long time ago on a regular basis, and it was always a great event, but now seeing it from the other side, it really is a first-class thing that you guys do, so thank you. The other inductees, I was fortunate enough, like everybody else has said tonight, to be around at the same time. We were all sort of doing our thing at the same time. Congratulations to all you guys. I was going through, you get this call and you go through stuff, and it was very humbling to get out the crate, like Stevie said, the bin of all the stuff, and go through it and realize how lucky you really were, how fortunate I was here for 4 years. I'd like to thank my family for being here, specifically my wife for dealing with me on a regular basis, and listening to the man yelling out in the hallway. I was going to use the "you win with people" thing with Doc School from me. So, this is just as much about other people. I was fortunate enough to play with a lot of great people. There's a lot of records over there that I was able to block for on the football field, and we have a track record here. Also, very, very fortunate to get to play with some very, very talented people. As far as coaches go, track-wise, this is going to make me sound old, but my first 2 years in the track program, we were still on the cinders down in the park. And Coach Gruber, who really took track to be less of an individual thing and really tried to make track a little bit more of a team thing, and that we were doing all this stuff in a team aspect. That's not really easy to do for high school people. Also, as far as track goes, I want to thank Coach Greenwald. Coach Greenwald was my throwing coach here, possibly the most patient man I've ever met in my entire life. Everybody's described me as this celebration guy, so you can imagine what's happening on a bad day. He was very, very patient with me all through high school, and I want to thank him. And then if we flip sides to football, Columbiana is very lucky, or was very lucky at the time, to have the coaches that I had here. They are people that I still talk to this day. They are people that are great role models, and now getting to coach and looking back on stuff like this, we're great people to be around. On the varsity staff, Coach B, Coach Giannone, Coach Randolph we're all people that really, you take little things from people and you hope that someday there's going to be somebody standing up here and thinking the same way about you. Thank you. And then there's Coach Spate. Thank you. I've been fortunate enough to coach at a couple other places, and there is not a man that I've come across that cares about kids like this guy does. Wants kids to be good people more than always win the game, and I think that's pretty important in high school athletics. And then we get to the immediate group. Jerry up here, Jerry Seinfeld. He's I got to do a lot of things. I got to throw at the state track meet. I got to lift in the state powerlifting meet. I got to play in big football games. And my greatest memory will be getting to play beside Tim for 10 games in a row, side by side. It's something that I will take to my grave. It's something I'll never forget. It's easily my best memory. And then finally, the two people that are 100% the reason I'm here are my mom and dad. My mom, the only anecdotal story that I have at all is Tim and I may or may not have been in a physical altercation practice. Tim may or may not have lost. And he was a freshman, I was a junior, I think. We had got into this altercation, and my dad's screaming on the side of the room, and everybody comes home, sits down for dinner. My mom's sitting at the table and is completely clueless. Doesn't know what happened at practice, doesn't know what's gonna take place. Where she said, how's everybody there? It's like a pin drop. Her support through everything and having to sort of negotiate through the three egos that were at the dining room table on a regular basis is something that I appreciate more and more as the years go by. And then finally, I want to thank my dad, who I wouldn't be in a lot of the different things that I'm into now, coaching, teaching, this kind of thing, if it wasn't for him. He pushed me more than anybody else in my life, and I'm very, very thankful for that. We'll leave it at that. Congratulations again to the other inductees. That's all I got.
Well, thank you, Tim. Thank you, Chris. You know, back in the day when I was coaching, Coach Baughman was on my staff, and I can remember the going into the season, and we were talking about a coaching staff, and we needed to fill some vacancy, and Coach B said, I got the guy for you. And it was your dad. And it was probably one of the best moves I made. It was great having him on our staff and coaching with him. So I sympathize with your memories, and we had some great times together. Okay, well that concludes our inductees for this evening. So we're going to be moving into closing remarks. However, before I turn the program over to Principal Buzzard, I would like to call your attention to the rear of the program. There is a application in the booklet for you to make nominations to the hall. We always are happy to have additional nominations. We encourage that. If you're not a paper and pencil person, you can find this on the school website, and you can send your application through the internet if you like. But please keep us in mind if you are thinking about an athlete that you think deserves to be here with one of our evenings like this. Please send us an application. Do your research, and our committee will be happy to consider any and all applications. So with that, I will turn the podium over to Principal Buzzard, and I'm sure he has some kind words for us.
Before I begin, I'd just like to note one thing. For a small town activity such as this, it's really a quality job that this committee tries to put on. I've only been on it a couple years, So I want to start off with a thank you to all you for the extras you did tonight. Usually we have kids serving us, bringing us drinks, cleaning our tables up, and whatever. And it's we really appreciate you going the extra mile of getting your own drinks and cleaning up and whatever. Because of COVID, we had to cut back, and we'd like to thank you for that. Before I just do a couple closing things, first, I'd like to welcome Caleb to the Bob Spade. You can't talk about anything without getting choked up. I'm vice president. I'll see how I do here, okay? As Dr. Mook said, this is the first one I've been at where I know a little bit about everybody going in. When I got this job, 12, 13, how many years?
This is year 13.
Year 13. It wasn't too long after that. My daughter, who waited tables during her high school years at the Green Marble in Calcutta, said to me, he says, "Oh, I know a really nice guy from Columbiana. He comes in and eats all the time. And he's Dr. Detweiler." And I said, "Well, I'll meet him." And eventually I did meet him. She said he was really nice. Didn't say anything about tips, but he was really nice. So, she worked for $2 an hour plus tips. And then, a lot of times at lunch, a lot of the coaches sit together and we start talking. And we're not having a great year this year, but we've had some really great years in the last 13 years since I've been here. And we've had some really great athletes. So I would sit there and we'd talk about this shortstop or this pitcher or whatever, and how great they are and how good they are. And I would say something like, "Hey, maybe the best we've ever had," and he'd get quiet. And someone would say, "You never saw Goist." Just for years, I've been talking about how great. And there's always a Goist that came up that I never had the pleasure to see, and they were always better than anybody that I was talking about. So I wouldn't know them to see them, but now I've seen some faces of the Goyce that were better than anybody that I had ever seen. And when I got hired here, everybody was really, really nice. I've talked to Coach Spade before about the bad reputation Columbiana has, that people are snobby and not nice and whatever. And it's like, but everybody was really nice. But the nicest person when I came here was Coach Reash. He made me smile for the first 8 weeks, at least 2 or 3 times a week. Because when I came here, my son didn't come with me. He stayed in Wellsville. He was in 8th grade. He wanted to play football with the kids he had played with throughout his career. "One more year, Dad, I want to finish it." So I don't know how Coach Reese knew about him. I don't know, but usually on Monday, he'd poke in his head in the door. "Mike here? Mike come?" "No, Coach, he's going to finish his..." We got United this week. We could really use him. Next week, "Hey, is Mike here?" "We're playing Lisbon. We could really use him." He just brought a smile on my face for the first, because every week he just knew that he knew he wasn't going to be there, but he just stopped in. He was the first person that made me smile, just because he'd come in and just talk for a few minutes. And he never got to coach Mike, and I feel really bad about that. So, Caleb, welcome. But anyway, as principal and representing all the kids that are here now, all the Clippers that are here now, and all the staff, congratulations to all you families and friends on who you're here to honor. And congratulations to the inductees. Welcome home. Come back and see us whenever you can. And go Clippers.
Thank you. I can attest that Bob has been that way from day one when he came. We used to take bets on how soon during the football banquet he would, cry. When was it going to happen? But you're also right. Nobody cares about kids like he does. And that's the blessing that we get. Moving on with our program, we'll hear from Larry Bachman, our president of the trustees. Larry, all yours.
I remember that fight on the field. There's no way I was getting between you two. There's no way. It reminded me when we were at Crestview, and we were losing 21-0 at halftime.
Oh, God, yes.
We come back and beat them 26-21. So we have a big fight. So stupid me. I run out on the field. Our kids are coming too. Wrong. Let the kids run first, then go in and pull them off. I thought I got killed. On behalf of the Columbiana High School and the Athletic Hall of Fame Committee, we'd like to sincerely congratulate all inductees and their families. We would like to wish you all the best. This is our 25th class. It is hard to believe it's been 25 years. We've taken in 156 athletes, coaches, and merit. The pride and tradition at Columbiana really brings back fond memories. I would like to thank Mr. Buzzard, our principal, and Mr. Don Book for helping us make this and supporting us and making this a great event. I want to thank my friend Larry Caffro. I started with Larry Caffro in 1986, and all I had was special teams. Guess what? I failed. I didn't have enough on the field. I said, but I got the paper.
I kept him anyway.
Yeah, he kept me anyway. He'd already done that. So I'd like to give a special thanks to Connie and Bonnie for taking over from me. I was a little under the weather this winter, and they worked hard on the banquet and got everything. Inductees, check the Hall of Fame wall on your way out. Your plaques are already up. The plaques you got now, you keep. And I need all the inductees and presenters to come forward for some pictures. And I hope everybody has a great time tonight. God bless you all, and have a stay safe trip home. Stay safe. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. You had to bring that memory up there. I can remember me turning to him on the sideline. I said, Larry, I gave you one job. All I needed was a kickoff team on the field with 11 guys. Again, my congratulations to all the inductees this evening, and I would like to close with a quote of the great Vince Lombardi, which I think encapsulates what we're about here this evening. And Vince Lombardi once said, "It is time for us all to stand and cheer for the doers, the achievers, those who recognize the challenge and do something about it." The CHS Hall of Fame recognizes the efforts of the inductees and their families here tonight, and we wish everyone here the best in your future endeavors. Thank you for attending, and drive carefully.